All right. Welcome to Politics and Movies with Mike and Friends. I'm Mike, and today we've got Billy, and we're going to be talking about the film Challengers, the 2024 romantic sports drama directed by Luca Guada Guadagnino. I've never said his name aloud. Have you?
No. Oh, also, I'm friends.
He's friends.
You- Wow, you didn't even let me speak. No,
All
let
right.
me give it a try. Let me give it a try.
All right.
Guadagnino.
Guadagnino.
I'm
I
gonna
don't know.
assume the G is silent in the middle.
Maybe. Let me see if there's like a pronunciation guide. Why not? Uh, There
We
is
need to be respectful. Hell yeah.
Luca
Apparently,
Guadagnino. Guadagninin. Ah, fuck. Even with the guide, I'm having trouble. Jesus Christ.
well, at least you're not the only one because apparently others have
Guadagnino.
struggled with this so much that a guide is
Yeah,
required.
the guide is required. Don't leave home without it.
Hmm. Thank God I had my guide along the way.
Yes. Yes, we were talking about the 2024 Guadagnino film Challengers. And yes, I think there are plenty of like political readings that can be made on this film, and I think there's a lot to talk about. Do you have like anything off the bat that's like you're brimming with that you have to get out?
Um, well, I guess first I kind of just thought maybe we'd talk about if we liked it or not. But
You
I
can.
I'd like to pivot from your readings to mine because I think mine are just a little bit more of reaches, especially since it's it was hard for me to get a political reading from this.
Okay.
But yeah.
I think it's all equally valid. I mean, like a reading is just that. It's like, like what do you make of it? It's not like what's intended by the author. Uh, Although we do sometimes discuss that. And I feel like there are a couple of things here that were intentional, and we'll get to that. But I think for starters, let's just do like a brief summary of the film. Um, it's a really intense sports drama about a tennis. Like it follows like there's a lot of flashbacks and it follows especially this particular tennis match between these guys named Art and Patrick, and they're really in some ways, and it's like they're really competing for Tashi's love, and Tashi is of course played by Zendaya. Um,
And
uh,
they they've grown up with each other their entire life, and this is kind
yeah.
of their first kind of competition with each other. It stirs the pot, and at first it's very friendly. F- At first they're very kind to each other about it. They're very respectful about it, and it's just like whatever will happen.
Yeah, I think that's accurate. But there is sort of like there's definitely, and I don't think it's sort of there's definitely a love triangle going on. It's really I think it's developed well over the course of the film. It's really well done. I really don't have any complaints about it, and I usually don't really like those kind of things too much.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I just wish Art and Patrick could be a little bit more gay.
They made out.
Well, I knew I wanted them to have full on sex after that. I I really like the sauna scene. Your dick's hanging out.
Hey, bro, we're in the sauna. It's okay, dude. I feel like okay, let's talk about political readings. One right off the bat, that was a total like power move, like a whole toxic masculinity thing. And I feel like there is this movie does play with toxic masculinity in a lot of ways, especially towards the end of the film, and I feel like there's a fair amount of identity politics going on here, and depending on how you feel about that, but it's in the film, so I think it's fair to talk about. What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. He definitely it's actually really interesting to me because I've seen this throughout my life too, how he's describing his friend, Patrick describes Art as this kind of playboy kind of guy. Like he's not in a relationship, he's between people. And maybe that's just to sell himself, to Zendaya when during their second like kind of when they're drinking together. He says, "Yeah, Art he gets around." And Art kind of like playfully doesn't really acknowledge it, but um, it- just the way that Patrick charismatically spins things, and just the way that he can kind of really get on you sometimes, and he really gets under Art's skin in very playful but deliberate uh manipulative ways, and that like scene in the sauna is definitely the way he does that. He Zendaya even says like he has a big dick at some point, and he flaunts that. He flaunts it in how he speaks. He flaunts it in that scene. He wants Art to know, hey, I fucked her. He shows the ball in the like middle of the movie. He shows the ball in the tennis racket. He was
Oh
I
yeah.
feel like he was always going to show the ball cuz he's proud of his accomplishments. He goes around and fucks people just to sleep at their apartment. It's like they're just kind of playthings to him.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's really well done. Like this script is really tight. I was when I was watching it with Leandra last night, I was like, this script in a lot of ways feels like an Aaron Sorkin script, just in how tight it is, how well structured it is. And I guess we can talk a little bit about how we feel about the movie, but uh, yeah, I really like the script, the pacing, the cinematography. I think it's incredible. I will be very upset if this movie isn't nominated for anything with this upcoming award season, but we'll see. And yeah, I really like how that's structured and the payoff of the like like you don't know if he's actually going to throw the tennis match, and then he does the ball in the middle of the racket to taunt Art, and Art is absolutely upset about it, and he goes off, and yeah, like you think he's actually going to go through with it and throw the match, and then Patrick's like, no, fuck you, I fucked your wife, so I think that is very very well done. Very interesting, and very fun to watch, even though it is like very intense at points.
Yeah, that like last 10 minutes, I actually stood up because I was very, I was very happy with how they did that. It kind of paid off everything, how the movie unravels every like certain plot points and everything. You get it. You get it rolled out piece by piece, and especially Patrick cheating, uh, Zendaya cheating with Patrick at the end. That's rolled out, and then um, very deliberately, and asking him to throw the match that's rolled out very deliberately. But um, the way that we get to see the payoff of, hey, he's not actually gonna throw the match. He wants to actually get Art's full game right here in this last point. Like he doesn't he wants to taunt him. He wants to get the Art that he used to know, not the pussy Art. He wants the man who knows how to play tennis with talent and with passion. And he gets that and he loses fair and square. And it's just that last point was enthralling because of that. You know, it all comes out there.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that's a great way to look at it. It's yeah, it's funny because I feel like the script in a lot of ways has more in common with The Social Network than it does with Guadagnino's previous films. Like what's the one? I know what it's called. The one where he fucks the peach.
Call me by your name.
Yeah, and yeah, I feel like it has, I like a few of his films, though. I like, We Are Who We Are, and I like, the Suspiria remake. I think those
This
are
is
good.
nothing like Suspiria. Damn, I didn't
No.
realize they did Suspiria.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's why I think it's interesting to explore, like, how it relates to those films. Um, but the guy that, did the, cinematography for, the Suspiria remake, did, principal photography for this film, and you can tell because there's a lot of great shots in this film. I think it's really well shot. Um,
Yeah, I liked
and
the
just
first person POV of the ball traveling through the court.
that
That
was
was very
that
fun.
was great. Yeah, I really like that. And just that really amplified the intensity of the match. And I don't think I've ever seen like a sports match really conveyed in that way before. And just the way that the perspective shifts between Arden Patrick and Tashi. I think it's really well done. I think the tension is palpable, and I really like the way this movie plays with themes like class, and you know the fact that Patrick comes from an a well-off family, but he ends up like sleeping in his car for before the match because you know his family is like suddenly cut him off or something. I don't remember if that's really ever explained or not, or it's just kind of a thing.
I took it as this was something he does by choice. Like he's trying to look past his background and trying to embrace his talent and get somewhere with his talent alone. Um,
Well, he he did try to book the hotel room, but the card was cut off, and so he tried to pawn off one of his brackets, right? So I was like, I took that as like maybe you know his family didn't support his decision to go through with it or something. I don't know.
yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I, there was a lot I liked about this film, a lot, um, and I think it's very, very stylish. I love the way that it's delivered. Everything, the music and the Aaron Sorkin kind of um, talking scenes. It really helps sometimes just drive the point that it's trying to make, and it really helps with the tension. Um, it was it was very fun, and I just could turn my brain off sometimes and just enjoy the moment. Uh, I I think there's like only a couple of sports dramas that I actually like. Um, I Tanya and this, and I think when you were making like a sports kind of drama, it helps to focus on the characters above all, and this definitely does that. You know, we know Patrick and we know Art and Zendaya extremely well, and every time Patrick and Art is on the screen. I actually felt like part of my difficulty with this film is I didn't always know who to root for. Like Art felt like such an underdog. I wanted him to win, especially with everything going on. But at the same time, Patrick really he like loses everything at one point, and he's kind of being an insufferable douchebag. But it's just partially Zendaya just switching sides and messing with both of them and both of their loves too. So it's just like I kind of felt for both of them, and the film's pacing and its flashbacks helped assert that too. Of this person's the underdog. No, this person's the underdog. No, this person's the underdog. Like Art. Yeah, Art lost the match, and then he gets Zendaya, but then he loses some other matches. Now he's not doing as well, but he's well off. Like always well off, which kind of helps with Patrick being the underdog because we see him. He's not well off. He hasn't even eaten when he gets to the match because he wants that Dunkin' Donuts breakfast sandwich so much. So it really does play with kind of your expectations of who do you root for in a sports match.
Yeah, and I think it's good that you mentioned that, because I actually when I was watching it with, Leander, I said to her at one point, I'm usually really good at, pegging who the antagonist of a film is, like, right off the bat, and in this one, it, like, took me until about, like, 2/3 of the way through before I was like, "Oh, you know what? It's actually Patrick. Patrick is really the antagonist of this film." 'Cause, the movie really plays with it a lot, and you feel like, well, maybe it's actually Zendaya, and that would make sense too, but it really feels like they lean into it being Patrick, especially in the last third of the movie. Just the way that he presents himself, the decisions he makes, his, the way the film perceives him, let me say, just as, someone that's, like, deliberately pushing Art's buttons and trying to get under his skin and trying to, like, make him make the wrong choices and, trying to steal, um, Tashi away from him, and, like, Art's just trying to do his thing, you know?
Yeah, I
And
I I actually had a different reading, but I'll let you finish.
okay, um, that's fair, and I was just gonna say, and, really perceive it at the end is that, like, Art is supposed to be the de facto hero, and, Patrick is supposed to be the antagonist of the film, and I feel like regardless of that, though, regardless of that perceived structure, the the end is so good, and of course, obviously, if you're listening to this, please, you really have to watch the movies. You have to assume that there's gonna be a spoiler in here or several but at the end is so good in that, it's like the movie decides the narrative decides, "Okay, you know what? It doesn't fucking matter," because, they embrace at the end and they're like, like, "Fuck this," like, rivalry, "Fuck this," division that we have going on, and they just they hug it out, and that's when the movie ends, and I think that's very telling. That's when they decide to end the movie is right then. And I think that's really
It,
well done.
it ends on her scream.
The scream too, yeah, the scream,
It
but the
cuts.
hug and then the scream, yeah.
I think Zendaya
Okay,
is the primary antagonist.
okay,
So yeah,
okay,
I do think
okay,
she
that's fair
is the
goal.
primary antagonist. Yeah,
Okay,
uh, just because I do think like I still think Patrick is definitely an antagonist. Probably like you can have a secondary antagonist, but Zendaya is definitely pulling a lot of strings here, and she's purposefully like manipulating Art throughout the whole thing. Um, of when he is at the back end of his career, it's kind of obvious he wants to retire, but the only reason he's going is because of her. And just the way that she's manipulating him, the way she says if he loses, she's going to leave him, and the way that she even asks Patrick to throw the fight or throw the tennis match. And I have a feeling, I don't remember if this is confirmed or not, but a part of me feels like this is her orchestration, you know? Like this she wanted them to be pitted one and one together because I'm sure there's other challengers, there's other places where she could have put Art, but I feel like the reason that they show us her looking at her phone and her trying to find matches and tournaments for him to go in is because I feel like she purposefully tries to pick one with Patrick in it. And once I feel like I remember at some point that she Patrick accuses her of trying to spurn on Art, and she confirms it of saying like I I feel like this would get everything out of him. And I mean it does. Like the rivalry gets his passion out again, and like he plays like a devil in that final point. So I think like that was her intention all along, and you know that's kind of emblematic of that final shot of them hugging out. Like they get their closure, but she also gets what she wants. She wanted him to get his passion back, and she screams like in the excitement of seeing him like win fairly. And I do think I definitely liked Patrick as the antagonist. I kind of was very happy every time he was on, like, in the scene, because he's just such a charismatic and interesting and kind of like a more typical sort of villain. He's just very charismatic and very playful and um very below the belt punching, but she's very manipulative, and I kind of just hated it when she was on the screen. But she's a very effective villain, in my opinion. Like she knows that this is a three-way love triangle, and she embraces that in every sense of it.
Yeah, oh, it's funny that you felt that way because I was, going to say, I felt like I don't know, I felt like it wasn't particularly like, they just happened to keep running into each other. I didn't feel like it felt, like, particularly orchestrated, but, like, maybe that's just my reading. And she, like, maybe she's just saying this, but she does say over and over again, "I told you I didn't wanna be a homewrecker." And then and, like, you could argue, like, well, maybe she's just saying that and then leaning into it. But, I don't know. I just got the vibe that, Patrick was just very, competitive, and, he didn't really love, Zendaya, but he loved the competition, and that's why he kept coming back and kept egging on Zendaya, and Zendaya was just, like, playing along, and, I feel like that's the way that's my reading, though. I know that's different from yours. I feel like it's like it started off as a friendly rivalry between, Patrick and Art, and it escalated into Patrick trying to take advantage of Art and trying to take what he has and, uh, trying to be, like, trying to prove himself to Art in a lot of ways, and, that's just, the way I see it.
Yeah, yeah, it does make a lot of sense, and I think it's purposefully meant for you to be able to interpret it either way.
Right, and I think that's interesting. Yeah, that's the mark of a good movie when you can say, "Hey, maybe it's this way and maybe it's this way." You know, I really like that, and, the the next episode, we're going to talk about another movie that's kinda like that.
I can't wait to talk about that.
Yeah, uh, but now I'm telling on myself, and now I have to edit this one before I edit that one. So
You dumb fuck.
fuck. Yeah, but, any other, political stuff you wanna mention before, I bring up a couple things?
Um, this might be a reach, but the
Okay, go
way
ahead.
that Zendaya kind of props up art and the way that he seems kind of reluctant, even her saying, and I know that like she convinces Patrick to throw the match so that this doesn't have as much weight. But at the same time, it does have weight to Art, to his feelings, but she says she's going to leave him. Um, it's all extremely manipulative and it's all for her own self gain. Art says, I'm doing this for both of us because she has that huge injury that affects her for the rest of her life. She can't play tennis anymore. He's playing for both of them. She's coaching, and that's all she can do, but she's still in the game. It's all very similar to me to kind of, and this is like a phenomenon of like from everyone. This goes to sports, but use I'm gonna use like TV shows for going into it, but it's like child stars to me. Like how parents try to raise up a child because they can't be that star. So they're raising up that star themselves and making them go to all these things and they're, making them drink the right things and it's a very manipulative act because they can't do it. They're living vicariously through their child. And I got that feeling with and that happens with sports all the time too. I can't remember what that dad's name was, but I'm not really a sports person. But anyway, uh it it just happens all the time with TV shows, with sports, child stars being raised to fit like the parents' wants and dreams, because they can't do it. So she she definitely their relationship seems so. It's weird that Art says, "Oh, you're not in love with her," you know, and he's clearly in love with her, but it's really like Zendaya isn't reciprocating that love. She's she's only feeling love when he wins, when he shows passion for the game. And she even it seems like that way with Patrick too. When they're in the relationship still, she's upset that he's losing matches on the third set. And she accuses him of that, and that's what kind of starts the whole argument. So it's very indicative of you know where this relationship isn't just about relationship; it's also about tennis. And I don't know. That's what I was thinking. It might be a little bit of a reach, but it definitely gave that energy to me. What did you think?
That's an interesting read. I'm okay with that. Wait, I've got an equally controversial one for you. Hear me out. Zendaya is the CIA. Art and Patrick are third world countries.
Okay. When you said political, you were definitely going for the reach. Okay. All right. I'm,
So,
I'm still
if you think
basing it.
about Yeah, you think about it, they're both being raised up and pitted against each other, and then it's like they're both being told that they're equally great, and then, like, they're both being, um, used and manipulated and harvested for their resources.
Yeah, honestly, it's the same thing I just said, except
Mm.
pitched as an allegory
Yeah.
or an
Well,
analogy, I guess.
yeah, yeah. I know what you meant. Yeah, well, I had to take it to an extremely political place, yeah. Oh, otherwise we haven't, fulfilled the thesis of the podcast.
Yeah. Well, I imagine child stars is a slightly kind of political thing, only just
Yeah, yeah,
because.
it still is. I'm just being silly, yeah. Mhm.
it, it it
Absolutely.
definitely feels like art sometimes doesn't have his own free will, and she abuses that. Like, especially, I didn't like her always calling him a pussy, and he feeds into that too. Like, he wants to prove to her, to everyone, that he's not a pussy. And I feel like at the end, like with that last set, that's partially why she screams, because he's not, you know.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting, and, how do you feel about the class differences here, though? Like, Zendaya is clearly comes from, like, what is at least presented in the film as, like, she's coming from the richest family, it seems like.
Yeah. Well, they I remember in the first scene they meet her, they say, "Oh, she has a castle," and then, sorry, excuse me. Patrick says, or Art says, Patrick has a bigger house. Someone has a bigger house. Is it Patrick?
I think you're right. I think it's Patrick, but then at the same time, we see Patrick doesn't really have that kind of relationship with his family. Clearly, he's like been cut off at some point. So yeah, he comes from a well-off family, but he doesn't have access to the resources like Tashi does, you know? So I think that's an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, I find it very interesting because the flourishes doesn't matter to Zendaya. You know, she comes from a well-off family, um, but there's that scene where she's about to go in the car with Patrick, and he sees the ring, and she says it's his grandmother's, and she, being from a wealthy family, she could have gotten any ring ever possible, but he got something personal. But it's kind of like that doesn't none of that matters to her personally. What matters to her personally, why she went with both of them in the first place, isn't their financial status or anything. It's, are they good at tennis? And she still cheats with she still has sex with Patrick, even if it's nowhere fancy. It's just in a car that they have sex. So to me, she was born with the wealth, and the wealth is just kind of her asset, but it's not what she's looking for.
That's fair. Or she takes it for granted because it's something that she's always had, and uh,
She definitely
like
does.
yeah, and, like, at one point, Patrick, like, asks, "Oh, why are you staying in a hotel?" Because you don't like staying in hotels, and she was like, "Oh, well, Lily likes staying in hotels," the daughter.
Yeah, yeah. And Lily would stay in a hotel for the rest of her life if she could, judging by the first first or second conversation that happens in the movie.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's interesting. So, yeah, I feel like, we've definitely talked about a lot. You said, you wanted to, was there anything else you wanted to discuss? Like you wanted to look at reviews or something for this movie?
Do you have any other perceptions or um anything
Um,
else?
I don't think I do. If you do, that's fine.
I just think Zendaya's character was very interesting. Like you said, the
Yeah.
writing was very strong, and I find they do a good job of teasing it in the intro. Um, I I think, or in the middle of the movie, I think she says something like she would she would stab someone for a new something, and I think it's for a new leg so that she could play. And it
Yeah.
comes off as very like comedic at the time, but then later she says to she says to Patrick, like, I would cheat on my husband with you so that you'd throw the match. And it's just that was very like telling of her character. You know, she would do all of this stuff just to get her way, and all of it's for tennis. Weirdly enough. Um, but there was a couple things that I actually did write down now that I'm looking at my notes.
Okay.
Um, and I can just go through them quick and see if you have any response to it. But there's some things that happened repeatedly that I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna write that on the note." And one of it is a shirt, and this seems really stupid and innocuous. It's just a shirt that says "I told ya." Zendaya is
Yeah.
wearing it. Did you see that?
Yeah, yeah. She's wearing it at some points, and then Patrick is wearing it at other points. Yeah, I
Yeah,
thought that was interesting.
yeah.
Yeah,
I feel like it has some relevance as something. Maybe I'm just reading too deep into it, but Zendaya's wearing it before her match, where where her knee gets injured. Patrick is wearing it after her injury, actually, when he rushes in, and Patrick is wearing it at 3 a.m. when Zendaya cheats on Art. So those are the three times it's being worn. So I don't know what the significance of the "I told you" shirt is, but I do know those are the three times where it's being worn. Um, and then there's recurring dialogue too, because if this, I think, if you're gonna compare this to Zorkin, it definitely needs to have recurring dialogue, which it does. But
yes.
th- there's two times someone says to Zendaya, "I'm going to say something. It's probably gonna make you angry." And Patrick says it when he proposes that she coaches him, and and Art says it when he proposes that this is his last chance to go for the Open, and then he's gonna resign.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's interesting.
Um, and then the last thing is, oh, another recurring dialogue that comes up too is um two times it's said we're talking about tennis, and that's all we're talking about. And one of them is when Zendaya is like having that argument with Patrick, and they like break up shortly afterwards. But like she's talking about tennis, he's talking about like other stuff, but she's also kind of hinting at other stuff too, which makes him openly uncomfortable. And then the other time is in the sauna when it's between Patrick and Art talking, and you know, obviously they're not just talking about tennis, but yeah, I just thought the dialogue was very everything definitely felt very purposeful, and I did like that about this.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you watch it? Can I ask, did you watch it with C?
No, unfortunately not. See, fell asleep at
Okay,
like 8 o'clock last night and slept all day.
that's fine.
I know we had to watch. I know I had to watch it for today, so
That's all right. Um, yeah, I was gonna see if C liked it because I know C liked some of the other movies that Guadagnino did.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate because I would have tried to wake them up if I realized that this is the person who did Call Me by Your Name. But I did like the kind of sexualization of everything. Like even making tennis kind of sexy.
Oh, absolutely. There was a deep sexuality about this movie. Uh, it's yeah. If this movie doesn't make you horny, I don't know what will.
I don't know what'll make me horny.
Like, it's funny, Leandra said, "This is the most bisexual movie I've ever seen." And I think that's fair. Alright, honestly, I've been looking through the reviews, and it's letterboxed, the top ones are all shit posts.
I did like the shit post average day for Wii Sports players. Sometimes a churro's just a churro. This is not one of those times. Oh,
Yeah,
we how did we not talk about the hot button political thing about this? Homosexuality.
yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, and sexuality in general.
sure.
Like I especially we did kind of hint about like their relationship growing up with each other, and a lot is revealed during that second meeting with Zendaya. But it's very telling that like Art's first sexual experience is with
Patrick,
Patrick. You know,
yeah.
like it's nothing physical, but it's just them kind of like masturbating together. Of course, there's like talking about a girl, but it's interesting that that sexual experience is shared amongst both of them, and then you know, um, with the kissing too. They're not even revolted by kissing each other. It's kind of more like amusement by all three parties. It's kind of like they're so turned on in the moment, like their entire sexual orientation is just fluid.
Yeah, well, it's clear that from the get-go, they're really, like, at least playfully bicurious, you know?
Hmm.
Like, I wouldn't say they're full-on bisexual, they're probably not. But they're at least, like, comfortable in their skin enough to and I feel like that's where that takes the arc in an interesting direction because it means, while toxic masculinity plays a role in their disputes against each other, later on in the film, it doesn't seem to really have a role in their lives early on, and it just develops over time, like, this rivalry becomes heated, and they start to, do it pardon the term, it devolves into a dick measuring contest, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Like at one point, it's funny because at one point they would be openly masturbating with each other at that in that first sexual experience, but now Patrick's dick is out in the sauna, and Art still he's not revolted by it, but he sees it as what it is, which is intimidation.
Yes, and that's interesting.
Yeah, and
Alright.
I do think like to end on like the conclusive note of the actual ending of the movie itself. It's really nice to see them kind of get through that all of those repressed feelings and all of that toxic masculinity in the match itself, and hugging it out at the end, like you said. It's kind of like once it's revealed that Patrick cheated, and Zendaya cheated on Art. Um, it it kind of felt to me like Art goes through his moment of fuck this, fuck everything, fuck her, and he kind of like in that moment when they smile, when Art smiles at Patrick and Patrick smiles back, it's kind of like they reconnect and it's like they're friends again. And even Zendaya doesn't even matter anymore. And then they hug it at the end, you know?
Yeah, yeah, that's an interesting way that they come back from that. That and I really like it. I really like the ending of this movie. It's a great movie.
Yep. Like I said, I stood up. It was just so
Yeah.
enthralling.
Yeah.
It was a
All
great
right.
way to reveal everything.
Yeah, definitely. All right, I guess we should wrap up. That was our analysis of challengers on politics and movies. If you haven't checked out our sister podcast, The Music Smoothie, check that out. If you want to contact us at this one, email us at politicsandmovies@gmail.com. And that's all there is. Do you have any last words, Billy?
Last words, Billy.
Billy.
Don't forget to challenge your brother to some gay sex.
God.